Welcome to Behind the Work. I'm Elizabeth Paul, Chief Brand Officer at Martin. This is a slightly different Behind the Work today. Typically, when we do these interviews, we're talking about going behind a campaign we've made. But in this case, we are breaking our format a little bit to talk about what goes behind your work. And so I'm excited to introduce you to Keya from Keya Snacks. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having me. I'm so excited.
Well, let's begin at the beginning.
Yes.
Tell us the story behind the product.
It was all accidental. I'm actually a pastry chef. Actually, I can go back a little bit more. I was born and raised in Bombay in India, and I've been in the US for almost 20 years now. Before I moved here, I had never seen an oven in my entire life because baking is not a part of our culture. We don't bake at all. So when I moved here, I saw an oven in the kitchen. There was cereal boxes stuffed in there. I'm like, what is this box with the knobs on it? He's like, it's an oven, you moron. I'm like, oh. So that's how I learned to bake, and I went on to become a pastry chef.
Well, and he called you a moron, but he had cereal boxes in the oven. That's an interesting take.
Thank you. This is why I'm here. You see the real story. But so I learned how to bake, taught myself, became a pastry chef, went on to Food Network, became a Food Network champion, the whole 9 yards. And then 2020 comes about. The bottom falls out because of COVID of my custom dessert business. And we pivoted to making modern Indian American to-go meals. With those meals, I would send teeny little bags of Bombay spice chips as a thank you for letting me pivot. And then not even a week later, people are calling to order just the chips. So that's how they came to market.
That was the origin.
Complete accident. Well, that's how they came to market. There is another origin story behind why they exist, which I can tell you if you
Yeah, let's go there.
So I married a white guy, and he didn't like Indian food. I'm like, what am I going to do with you? I can't divorce you. I can't kill you. I have to find a way. So
I think we landed on force feed was the other option.
Force feed was the third option. Had I known that, this brand wouldn't have existed today, because I was trying to go for the sweeter, the nicer option, So the Bombay blend that's on the chips right now, I used to make that blend for myself because I was homesick. I put it on eggs and tacos and salads. And one day I took his favorite snack, which is a basic salted potato chip. Go figure. I put the blend on there, gave it to him, and it did the trick. It kind of opened up his palate. He eats Indian food now, so I'm not going to divorce him. Not yet. And it kind of like eats all kinds of cultural food. I'm like, this was a massive aha moment for me as a chef. I'm like, this is the way to bridge the gap.
One of the things we were talking about earlier is this idea that like a basic potato chip is like the most blank canvas of an American food for other flavors.
Yeah.
And now I think you see a lot of flavor innovation across a lot of snacks. But 15 years ago,
right,
you were not seeing all of these like deeply unexpected mashups that you are now. You were kind of ahead of the curve.
Yeah, and I didn't know that. And I think when you move to a different country, it's important to embrace that culture. And that's what I'm doing here, right? It's not that, we're not going to eat potato chips. How do we make it our own? That's how innovation happens, right? That's how the needle moves forward on culture. And that's how the foods you eat today exist.
We had one of our Idea Fest speakers is a content creator on TikTok. And he talked about the fact that, so many things that work on TikTok are new-ish, meaning there's something about it that is familiar, but then there's something about it that's an innovation. Yeah. And I thought about that when I was hearing your story because it was new-ish. It was taking a vehicle they were used to as a way to kind of Trojan horse in a flavor palette that they were not.
Yeah. Well, the other thing is that Indian flavors or any global flavors can feel very complex and can feel out of reach. So people may think, oh, I can't have that food. That feels too overwhelming. So we wanted to serve up the unfamiliar and make it accessible.
And that was the gateway to him eating all kinds of Indian food and other flavors.
Or any kind of cultural food. Yeah. Really, it opened up his palate, like a stepping stone.
And you said you sometimes see the same with kids with your sampling.
Very much. We always make sure that kids try it first, because if we can instill this palate in them now, only then will they have the lived experience of being adventurous foodies when they grow up, and they won't miss out. They won't miss out on these beautiful flavor experiences.
And you mentioned that sometimes at the sampling events, the parents will think the kids won't like the flavor.
Oh, straight off the bat. The second they look at the product, they're like, they literally be like, no, don't try this. Like, no, let them try it. It's okay if they don't like it. It's okay to spit it out, but give them a chance.
I called it with my kids the no thank you bite.
Yeah.
We're like, no matter what, you can't say you don't like something you haven't tried. You got to take a no thank you bite.
That is great.
Yeah.
I love it. This is a gem. I love it. Yeah.
It's
I'm going to
'cause-
put that. I'm going to put that
It's
on
because
my
I've got all the
resume.
old kids. So I've like
It's
learned the
true.
hard things along the
You
way.
have a lot of wisdom behind this. I love it.
One of our favorite books at Martin is The Beautiful Constraint. I know
Mm.
we were talking about that earlier. And just this idea that constraints actually should be embraced because they're often liberating points for creativity. You talked about it, the way that it was like having to pivot. That really led to the birth of this product, pivoting from a patisserie business to a catering business during COVID,
Right.
realizing that what the market wanted was actually something specific, and then
Right.
pivoting to CPG.
Right.
That seems like it's been a through line in your story.
Yeah, it seems to be that way. I've always kind of found myself in these situations where I'm having to adapt, and I'm having to dig deep into, okay, how am I going to live up to this? What change do I need to make, or how do I kind of get this out of myself into the world?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So your website talks about both flavor and culture. Remind me what that phrase was.
Built on flavor, backed by culture.
I love that. Built
Yeah.
on flavor, backed by culture. That's very, very cool.
Mhm.
And there is the duality of this incredible product, but also this incredible brand. So you are just the most amazing brand ambassador. You are like living and wearing the swag all the way down to your own custom Labubu.
Thank you.
Talk to me about the origin of the brand. I love this story.
So my brother designed all the packaging and all the branding. And I remember at one point I asked him, I'm like, can you just make like black and gray bags? I have a lot of black clothes. Like, don't, because I knew that once we make the brand, I'll have to kind of like follow suit. And I'm like, I don't want to wear bright
He was like,
pink
no,
clothes.
it's pink and red forever.
Yeah, sorry, deal with it. I'm like, but just black is fine, you know? He's
Yeah.
like, I'm not making a black potato chip bag. I'm like, oh, fine. So anyway, I joke, but he designed all of this. He is my older brother. He lives in Hong Kong. He's a very gifted artist and a graphic designer. I knew that nobody could do justice to this brand like he could. He has raised me. He only had one rule, which is to do what you want. That was the rule. That was the brief, literally.
I
I
love
know
that.
literally when you asked me how did you do this? Like, make what comes to your heart. Yeah.
There's been this trend in design that's come to be known as blanding, where everything looks more and more bland
The
and more
same,
the
yeah.
same. And there's this like really powerful visual with luxury brands where for a while all of them, like, Burberry, YSL, et cetera, all went to this like thin sans serif font, and they all started to look exactly the same. And then you started to see them like revert back to something that was like part of their heritage, something that was very distinctive, because everything had become, so bland. I've also heard it called the Airbnb-ification of everything, which is no shade to Airbnb.
No, yeah.
But like all of a sudden our spaces look the same and our brands look the same. And we often talk about fighting invisibility. And part of that is rooted in culture, which we'll talk about in a minute. But part of that is just understanding that, 84% of virtually everything isn't noticed or remembered.
Right.
And I think in the AI moment we're living in, a lot of AI can revert to the mean. And in that environment, it's the things that are very specific and really stand out that break through. There is so much specificity in your design system. And I want to go kind of beat by beat. I want to talk about the font and the word mark, because I've never seen anything like it. And it's like packed with story.
There's so much story there. But I'll tell you why. Let me kind of go back a little bit, and then I'll answer your question. If you look at our pitch deck, literally we start off with addressing the problem, which is sea of sameness. That's what I call the snack aisle right now. So every product you see out there, every chip you see out there is the same 4 flavors, so barbecue, sea salt, whatever, made by the same manufacturer, but for 4 different retailers. So it's the sea of sameness. We're breaking through that. So our packaging had to reflect that. So our packaging is also bold the way our flavors are bold. Right?
Love that.
So it's kind of drawing inspiration from that. But coming back to the font, there is a story of 4s in the font. We were a family of 4. My parents and my brother were very tight, very close unit family. So that there's 4 there. There is a goddess of food, Indian goddess. Her name is Annapurna. She has 4 arms. And a lot of these mythological goddesses have more than 2 arms. So we're sort of paying homage to the women and moms who raise us. They must have 4 arms given how much work they do. And then also, when you're in business, right, there are 2 hands that sell and there are 2 that buy. And we're paying respect to that interaction, because without that, you can exchange culture and flavor. So those are some of the reasons why there's a story of 4s. The Y in the middle is actually a flower. that you'll often see in Indian temples. That just you'll see it everywhere. It's very beautiful. So it's kind of a nod to that. There are a couple of other reasons there, but yeah.
Yeah. And then tell me about the woman.
So the iconograph in the middle, that's a kind of a mashup of me, my mom, and my daughter. But for me, it's about I want every woman to be able to see herself in this. That's the point. This brand is for the people, and I want them to see it, feel something, and know that this is for them. So that's what it's about, and so that they can see that you can go out in the world and do anything you want.
You also talked about breaking a lot of rules in your packaging when you were doing your research. Your process was a little unconventional. Some people, if they're new to a space like CPG, might go to the aisles and say, what can I learn from the people who've been doing this for a long time? There were instances where you did the opposite. Talk to me about that.
So many. We did, and we studied the aisles too. We went and tried and to understand the landscape, and then realized that we're just going to be ourselves regardless. So we threw the playbook out of the window and started over. There is no picture of the product on the bag. I'm pretty sure people know what a potato chip looks like. Like, don't need to insult my consumer. We don't need to dumb it down, right? Like it's a potato chip, you know what it is.
Yeah.
The name of the brand is on the bottom and the name of the flavor is on the top, because it's about a very consumer-led, consumer-forward brand. I wanted them to know what they're getting out of it, not the egotistical, like, oh, this is my brand, buy my brand.
Yeah.
Buy this product because it's going to be a good experience for you, a fun flavor minute to have for yourself. There's also Gujarati lettering on each side of the iconography that is my mother tongue. And it actually says bataka wafer in Gujarati. It just means potato chips.
Okay.
In India, chips are called wafers.
I didn't know that.
In the UK, they're called crisps.
Yeah.
In India,
that one I know.
Wafers. Yeah. And here they're called chips. So it's called that. There's a poem around the icon, which I would love for you to read, that my husband wrote in 10 seconds. He's a brilliant writer. He asked me one day, he's like, what is it? What is your intention with this brand? What do you want to do? And I mentioned that, and he wrote that in 10 seconds. So that's our story. On the back of the bag, there's a hand holding a chip. That's my daughter's hand. The design on the seam is my mom's sari border from her saris. There's just a lot of family nod.
One of the things I love about it, we talked about, kind of the amateur advantage that, like, if you don't know the rules, you don't know not to break them. One, I love that you almost did the opposite.
Yeah.
We often talk about, when you talk about the sea of sameness, or we talk about why category and visibility exists, it often is because people are just following best practices, and people lead the best practices to the same cul-de-sac. And we will say it's not enough to be right, because right can be ignored. And so I love the boldness to say, yep, there's a reason why it's been done this way, but there's also a reason why this is going to stick out. Nothing looks like this on the shelf when you go by.
I'll say one thing, right? We didn't set out to break the rules. We set out to be ourselves. And because I don't want to be disrespectful of what's working for a lot of brands. For them, it is important to follow the playbook. Like, that works for them, but this is what works for us. So the game, this is not what's the word I'm looking for? Like an arrogant, like, oh, we don't care.
Sure.
It's not that. It's more about, okay, how do we be true to ourselves?
Yeah. Well, you're also a challenger brand in a really big category. You're an up-and-comer.
100%.
It's amazing. I think a lot about, I think it was James Joyce who said, in the specific is found the universal. And there's so much specificity in your brand and in your packaging from, there's almost this like maximalism to the storytelling and the meaning and the intentionality. There's so much of your family and your story in this brand. And I think sometimes there can be a temptation or a tendency to think, well, everybody won't resonate with that because my story isn't their story. Or if everybody can't see them in this, like we sometimes will say that brands aren't mirrors, they're windows. And there can be a tendency to want to just hold up a mirror and be like, well, if maximum people can see themselves, then it's fine. When actually a brand can be a mirror or a magnet, like into a different world. And I think your brand has definitely done that. She doesn't look like every woman, and yet she looks like every woman. You know,
the eyes, right? They draw you in. And I think flavor is king. It doesn't matter if it tastes good, people are coming back for it. Whether they see themselves or not. It's gotta be very, that's the proposition here. It's an enjoyable, flavorful snack without strings attached, without permission, without any of those things. Just enjoy it, right? We literally said that on the back of the bag that may this bag be the best part of your day. That is the intention. The packaging might sell the first bag, but the 10th, 15th, 20th bag is being sold because of what's inside of it.
Well, I think that duality between like flavor in the product and also kind of the flavor in the brand and the point of view that you bring through, you definitely see that double helix. So you started making these chips 15 years ago so your husband could come to learn Indian food.
Yes.
The company itself, as a CPG company, is only a year old. Is that right?
Yeah, March 2025. What year are we in?
Yeah, we're about a year.
I mean, 26?
That's a lot of living in 13 months.
I can remember.
And you said now you're in 2,000?
We're in 2,000 doors and counting.
2,000 doors and counting. What has that journey been like?
I've not slept in a
year. A lot of hustle.
A lot of hustle and also a lot of natural acceptance by the market because this is so needed.
Yeah.
In the beginning when I started out, I thought that we were filling in a white space, right? But now that I've spent a year and a half doing this, I'm realizing we're not filling in a space, we're creating a category of flavor that doesn't exist in this way. We're literally carving out our own space because oftentimes when retailers see a product or something that's global flavored, they may want to put you in the ethnic aisle or the international aisle, and we're not there. We're in the main aisles. We're creating, like, fighting our
Or
space.
it might be a limited time offering during a heritage month, or it might be like
none of that.
slapping culture onto something as a side.
Right. Even though it is so prevalent, culture is so prevalent in our lives. And I've always said that America is one of the most diverse countries on this planet. Where else can you see these many different cultures living on the same street? That is beautiful. We should be celebrating that.
I love that. Yeah. As you think about kind of the long-term plan, I know you went from one flavor to 3. You've also thought about other formats. Do you have kind of a vision of where you see this going?
Very much. The chips are a foot in the door. I would love, given the market permission, iterate across multiple categories and be able to maintain our POV and bring flavor to the masses in different form factors.
Yeah, I know sometimes as brands, like you'll have these like very cool little boutique brands, and then as they scale, they will sometimes become less specific and less interesting. And it seems like you've gone the other way. You're like 10 toes deep. Yeah,
exactly. No matter what, I'm always going to make the effort to show up as myself.
Yeah.
And keep paying homage to the culture that brought me here. And I always compare culture to ancestors because they're the reason we're all sitting here today. And I will continue to take that voice forward.
So you said consumers have actually been very, very open to this,
Extremely.
but at points you've had investors tell you to like dial yourself back a little bit. Talk about that.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, there have been a lot of opinions on don't do this and don't do that and don't show up as yourself. I mean, I remember I was wearing a sari to one meeting, and this gentleman, he's like, "Oh, don't wear a sari. Like you look like a FOB." I'm like a what? I didn't even know that was a thing.
I didn't know what that was
right
until you told me. Yeah.
It means fresh off the boat. And like, but you know, women in my country have run countries and corporations and households wearing saris. Like it's a beautiful garment of resilience and unity. Like why wouldn't I wear one? You know, that's kind of crazy. So I've always just kind of allowed myself to be myself.
Yeah.
That's that. Yeah.
Well, it seems like authenticity has been a strategy, both for differentiation and for North Star. Like when you're getting advice from people, kind of when in doubt, lean in.
Yeah, and without apologies.
Yeah.
You cannot apologize for being yourself.
We talked earlier about delusional ambition.
Oh, yes.
And I have to imagine from moving from Bombay, not Mumbai, to the U.S., going on the Food Network, launching a CPG brand, have you ever had a voice in the back of your head that was like, who am I to do these things? Or have you always felt like, I am here, I'm going to do these things?
Oh, I mean, I'm a woman, right?
Yeah.
Imposter syndrome is like my middle name, I'm pretty sure. But every day I'm like, how dare I think that I could do this? How dare I think I can get on these shelves? And how dare I think consumers are going to come back with this product? Every day there are doubts.
Yeah.
Every single day. But you just sort of keep, do it. No, it's hard, but do it anyway.
It's so interesting to me the way I think everyone wrestles with this idea of like how much of my own lived experience, my own cultural perspective can I lead with? How much do I need to dial it back? You, as we discussed, have kind of gone all in. that also gave you a lens to see something in the market that other people didn't see. Like you were
Definitely.
solving a practical problem, but you were
Right.
also identifying
Right.
a white space. Are there other things you look at in the world, it doesn't even have to be in the food space,
Yeah.
that you feel like your perspective gives you a unique point of view on, like X-ray vision for what's missing?
Maybe so. I mean, I feel like I'm very uniquely positioned in a way that, given my upbringing in India, and given that I've lived here for so long, I have a very dual view
Yeah.
into culture, right? I can understand and appreciate both of them really well and kind of mesh them into my own little world. So I don't know about other aspects yet. I'm still exploring that.
Yeah.
But definitely with food, yeah,
You're just going to keep going.
we're gonna keep going.
I love it. And
Yeah.
you have a daughter.
I have a daughter.
This is very much a family business. You
Very
mentioned your
much.
brother's the
Yes.
designer,
Yes.
your husband's the writer. What's your daughter's role in the family
She's the
business?
boss.
She's the boss. Okay.
She bosses her around every day. She also, by the way, has been smuggling bags of chips to her friends at school.
Oh, I love it. Is she selling them or giving them away?
She's just giving them away. So I failed,
They're
clearly. in teaching-
sampling events. She's creating a future pipeline of demand.
Yeah, but there's gotta be revenue, right? You can't just be giving away product. But literally, I caught her grabbing, because I always have cases of chips in my car, always. And like one day I caught her grabbing 4 bags and put them in her book bag. And I'm like, what is going on here? Turns out every single day she's taking chips to all her friends at school. And they like tell her, bring me this flavor today, bring me that flavor today.
I
I'm
love
like,
that.
what ring are you running?
Well, you often hear from like first generation kids not feeling like they can bring food to school because of the smell or because of what people might think.
Yes.
She's the opposite. She's introducing all these kids to like her family's flavor profile.
Yeah, so I feel like I've taught her something.
Yeah.
You know, yeah, because I mean, think about it, right? Like, I've heard from other kids who've grown up here who are Indian or whatnot that they couldn't take their home food to school. Like, it looks weird or it smells different, but now you can. You can just be yourself, really. You can take your culture into school, into any space you want to. We made it accessible.
Are there other brands that you admire that have done like their version of that? Could be in any category that
That's a good question.
that have brought their perspective to an unexpected space.
I mean, there are many, right? There are many who dare to be themselves. Many have succeeded, many have not. And while specific brands are like, I'm failing to remember names right now, but I get inspired by a lot of, especially women in the business space. There are not a ton of women who look like me, so there are many that have led with that. For example, Indra Nui from Pepsi.
Yeah.
Right.
She's such a good follow on social.
Oh, she's incredible.
Yeah.
I got to meet her.
Did you?
Yes, she's tried the chips. Like almost fell over.
Oh, that's amazing.
It was amazing. And like she's right off the bat, she's like spouting off all these technical questions about like strategy, and I'm like, I don't know what you mean, because I was still very new at all this.
As a working mom, her content on like work-life balance and stuff like that, I'm such a fan.
Incredible. And also when she was becoming the CEO of this company where and there was no Indian woman out there in these kind of roles, like that's incredibly inspiring.
I love that. I was actually thinking of Reese Witherspoon.
Yes.
Yeah, in that like she talked about starting Hello Sunshine and really like all of her companies because there weren't stories for female characters that she identified with. Right. So you're like the food version of Reese Witherspoon.
There you go.
Or maybe she's the book version of you.
I'll take any version of her, really. That's all good. I mean, I literally have women DM me or email me all the time about how the fact that there's a bindi that's on her forehead, they're like, we never thought in a million years that we would see something like that on a mainstream package in America. When it should have been there all along. Yeah. Or that somebody who looks like me as an immigrant, is a woman of color, like to be in these kind of spaces, you don't expect that. And they see themselves in me.
So as you continue to scale, you've scaled flavors, you're talking about scaling formats. I certainly believe this brand has a lot of room to grow. Where are some dream stores and doors you'd love to end up in, just in case any people are watching?
Okay, who's watching? Let's see. Well, all of them. We want flavor to reach everywhere. I keep joking that I want to see, well, not joking, the Bombay Spice Chip. Yes, manifesting. I literally, I made a April 1st reel about it last year.
Okay.
I went and put some of these bags in Starbucks.
Yeah, like Starbucks if you're listening.
Starbucks if you're listening. I put them in there. and people thought it was true. Like,
Okay.
you're launching in Starbucks? I'm like, no, JK, JK.
Did
But
Starbucks see it and respond?
no, but they should.
Because I actually feel like I could see these in Starbucks.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Listen, they will earn a lot of cool points.
I believe it.
For having something like this, for supporting a woman in business.
Yeah.
But I see it in those kind of spaces where visibility is high, because that's where culture can actually live and breathe on a daily basis. Airports. I would love to work at Target, Whole Foods, you name it. Like all of these places that allow you to show up.
Well, you've built something really beautiful, and I personally think you're going to get there.
I appreciate it so
Thanks
much.
for taking us behind the work and telling us about all the amazing work that you're doing.
Always. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, thanks.